Hi everyone, I am back to do another Fables and Reading with Aesop's Fables, as well as the beautiful John Bauer tarot that we are kind of working through and getting used to together this month of Into the Wild Woods. And so I made the mistake of leaving my book out open, which is not good. And it was weighted because I was trying to take a picture of it. And so that has made it want to open here. So I'm going to have to re-weight it closed to fix that. Don't do that to your books. I'm really actually pretty hard on my books. They're for using for me, just like decks. But I don't usually do that. So it's like, oh, that's annoying, especially when you're doing something like this with bibliomancy. Sorry about that. Isabel is a little bit riled up from people moving from upstairs. So hopefully I remembered to cut out all that barking. So let's see what we have. Let's see what we have. Let's see what we're gonna get this time. The Crow and the Raven. Okay, okay. This could be rough, right? Grimm's, that's one thing about, this isn't Grimm's, it's Aesop Fables, but Grimm's as well as Aesop's Fable, like they had much grimmer advice sometimes than we certainly would give children in these days. A crow was very jealous of the raven because he was considered a bird of good omen and always attracted the attention of men, as indicating by his flight the good or evil course of future events. Seeing some travelers approaching, she flew up into a tree and, perching herself on one of the branches, cawed as loudly as she could. The travelers turned towards the sound and wondered what it boded, when one of them said to his companions, "Let us proceed on our journey, my friend, for it is only the caw of a crow, and her cry, you know, is no omen." Oh, poor crow. Those who assume a character that does not belong to them only make themselves ridiculous. You know, this again, I feel like many of these can interrelate with each other. I'm going to try a little lighter. This, can we talk about this for 1 second since it's Into the Wild Woods? I saw this piece of, and I need to look up what it's called again. This is like my soul in a crystal. That's just the best way to put it. People look for your soul decks. This is like the forest in autumn in a crystal, and it is absolutely amazing. It has, I don't even know if you can see, but it has all of this patterning on this side, and then of course it has the striations here on this side. It is literally my autumn soul in a crystal. I'm having the most amazing experience with it. Anyways, sorry. That was a diversion because it was up here and I wanted to have it hold it. But I think this is really a wonderful, obviously, story because it does talk about trying to be something that you're not or be somebody else is not really going to get you anywhere, right? You know, you're better off being the best crow that you can be and being fully, you know, fully experiencing the crow experience and not trying to be the raven or not trying to be something else, right? So it's just that message to just be ourselves. Number one, it's a lot of work to try to be something else. Number two, as shown here, in the end, it doesn't usually pay off, in my opinion. And it's not always, and that's the thing. I don't think this is about nefarious. So you're like, oh, well, that's not me. I don't ever have to worry. You know, I don't do that. I don't think the story isn't just a message to those like the crow who are literally saying, okay, I'm going to try to be like the crow so I can trick people into thinking I'm a raven, right? It's not, it's more subtle than that. The messages are more subtle than that, right? It's more of a message that says, just in general, we are often striving to be something that we're not, whether because other people have put their expectations on us or we put our expectations on ourselves to be something that we're not, versus just being fully 100% present with who we are. And again, as we talked about the last time, I think, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't strive to be a better version of yourself. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't be working on our flaws and the things that we need to work on. It doesn't mean we shouldn't be bolstering up the things that need to be bolstered up and healing what needs to be healed. So it's not saying don't work on yourself and never change, because we're always changing and growing, right? But we should just be worried about who we are and what we're trying to accomplish, and not really worrying about what the Raven's up to or what somebody else is up to, and releasing other people's expectations of ourselves. I think that very often is more of the problem than trying to fool somebody, as we have the story here. It's more of a issue of taking on the world's and other people's expectations of ourselves and our own expectations of ourselves, and not simply being fully present in who we are, and that being wonderful. We don't need to be a raven, although I'm happy to be a raven, but being a crow is absolutely amazing energy as well. And so being the best crow that we can be is far better than being a raven or something that we are not. So let's see what we get here first. Oh, look at that. Look at that. That is a Temperance card. I'm really bad with my numbers, but I'm pretty sure that's the Temperance card. Look at, he's walking in the water. Let's make sure. Shall we make sure? Because I will not hang my, I won't put any, yeah, Temperance card. I was right. I'm bad with numbers, but I was pretty sure I was right with that. I love this. I don't know if you can see, he's like pure water, but then his feet are so solidly on the ground. So he's fully present and existent. How wonderful is that? Because he's fully, you know, present and existing in both of these elements. That's pretty wonderful. That's pretty wonderful. So we have Temperance. We have, oh, look at that, the 9 of Wands. Look, what is happening here? This little thing. We have a child and either a giantess or a troll or a giantess troll who has something in, it looks almost like there's a key in her hand. We'll look it up, because again, we're learning this deck together. And lastly, we have the wonderful 4 of Coins. Now, I am a fan of the 4 of Coins. I know that Rider-Waite-Smith tradition calls this the greediness card, right? Let's zoom in a little bit. Calls this the greediness card, but I don't read it that way. For me, it's a time to hold on to your resources, and that really goes with this, right? Look at that. Okay, put this up here. So let's double check this. I want to see if it says anything about, does she have a key? Because I kind of like that idea. Let's see what it says. Again, I know I have to do a walk through this, but I wanted to use it for a little bit because it is a different system. You know, it's not just a one-to-one. I think that you can see the Rider-Waite-Smith in it, but it's not a one-to-one, which is something I love. But even though Los Caribbean has the worst little white books in terms of you get like 14, 15 pages, let's see, this one has a little bit more. This has 19 pages, but it's actually only 17 and a bit of actual text on the cards. But I have to say, I have found that it gives you enough of those little details to satisfy, and for me it is. A young boy stands in front of a troll. Her long hair obscures her face and she wears brightly colored clothing. Yet she holds a trinket out to the boy. So she's holding a trinket out to the boy. Meanings: trust in the process, keep a vigilant watch, and finish what you started. Okay, I'm not sure about all that. But the 9 of Wands is interesting, right? If this, we can see that he's on a road here. And so he's obviously on a path. He's on his journey. He's doing his thing. He's being him, right? He's going about the business of doing what needs to get done. And we have this troll woman here who has stepped out with this trinket she's holding up over his head and like, oh, look at this pretty over here, right? Which to a crow would be like, oh, pretty shiny things. But I think that the point is you're supposed to keep going. You shouldn't be getting sidetracked by a trinket or something shiny. There's a road to be taken. There's a place to be going here. He's probably almost there, as we often see with the Nine of Wands. He's almost there, and he needs to continue to go on forward. So see, that works really well with the Rider-Waite-Smith indication of the Nine of Wands. Also with the Nine of Wands, we have, for me, dynamic energy with the number 9, and we have the fiery transformative energy of the wand suit. But of course, with number 9s, we can often get distracted because it's big energy. And so we've got energy bouncing all over the place. And so we could get fixated on this shiny trinket instead of using that energy to continue on forward. So I think that this works either way that you might read it. And I think that that's what I'm finding with this particular deck, is that while at first glance you might say, I don't really see the Rider-Waite-Smith meanings, it is there, and then it also leaves it open for other interpretations, which is, of course, something I absolutely love. So our central card here then is this idea of not getting distracted by other people, what other people are doing, what other people are saying you should or shouldn't be. Like, don't get distracted by those things. Keep all the energy that you have focused on where you want to get to. You being your authentic, fully rooted and grounded in yourself. So the Temperance card, right, is oftentimes also called the Alchemist, but it is that idea of balance, that we see that balance here between the elements. We often see the cup being poured back and forth between, oftentimes it's blue and red, and you think about like maybe fire and water and that perfect balance of things. But when you're balanced, something new comes out of that. But for this particular card, I can just see this person, this troll, this wonderful like water troll, is perfectly balanced, grounded and rooted, but he's at one with the element of water. His fingers actually have webs on them, and so he's meant to be in the water, and yet his nose is above the water to see and to take in the air. And so you have something that is really at one in the elements, and being able to then make the way for being rooted and grounded in who you are, and being who you are in the space that you are in is a beautiful thing. And that sense of balance and that sense of really being rooted in who you are versus worrying about what somebody else is up to is what's going to allow you to continue to move forward. What is interesting, though, is that we have the Four of Coins, which is, for me, holding on to what you have. So we're not talking about riches or resources in this particular reading, where the resources and the riches here are yourself. Don't give away yourself. Don't give away the gold and the coin that is you in order to hopefully reach for something that is not you, that somebody else is doing. And it doesn't need to be in a negative way. It's not necessarily that you're trying to trick people into thinking that, does that happen? Of course it does. But I think the message is more grounded in that fact that we don't always realize that we're trying to achieve. So we see somebody else succeeding at doing things, and we obviously want success for ourselves, but instead about doing it our own way and being ourselves, we get distracted thinking that that's the only way to do that, when we can really accomplish things by being ourselves and by doing it our way, and being fully rooted and balanced in ourselves and moving on ahead, putting our energy towards moving forward, not putting our energy towards trying to be something that we're not. So that's how I read this one, even though, yes, he does look like a greedy troll. He's holding on to his riches, but in this case, it's important because the riches are holding on to the pieces of who you are instead of selling yourself short. So I think that's lovely, and again, I adore this deck. I adore this combination here, and I hope that you're enjoying it, and I wish you an absolutely wonderful day.